From the Jones vs. Cormier press conference that got a bit too heated, to the Covington vs. Masvidal feud that clearly got out of hand, here's a list of the few UFC fights that got too personal. First up, we have Young Jacek vs. Namajunas. It's not every day you see fighters aim below the belt. Even when things get a little too heated, people tend to stay on the civilized side of things. But in this case, Joanna may have taken things a little too far. It's fine when you taunt the fighter a bit, but there's a line you're not supposed to cross. And it looks like Joanna didn't get the memo because she decided to make things personal. In case you're confused, Young Jacek decided to bring up Namajunas' past. You could tell it struck a deep chord within her, judging by her reaction. There's no way to justify what she did. Any way you look at things, what she did was way below the belt. If you saw the fight, you know how heated things got inside the octagon.
Another knockdown! Rose Namajunas trying to close the show!
She was doing a great job of feinting.
That is
It's
it!
over!
Rose Namajunas!
After watching the press conferences and the fight itself, you know Namajunas wasn't the happiest camper. If you thought that was tough, wait till you see what's next. Of course, I'm referring to the Silva vs. Sonnen debacle. Chael Sonnen is widely regarded to be one of the best trash talkers to have ever existed in the sport. The man knew exactly what to say to get the crowd riled up. He'd phrase his words in such a way that he almost always managed to get under his opponent's skin. I'm gonna be honest, not everybody can do that. I'd even go so far as to say that it was a legit talent that only Sonnen at the time possessed. One thing's for sure, he managed to get under Silva's skin. During their bout with each other, Sonnen almost managed to emerge as the winner. However, even though he was leading on all the judges' scorecards, Silva ended up submitting him via a triangle choke in the 5th round. I'm not gonna lie, I kinda felt bad for Sonnen because of that fight. Sonnen was forced to seal his fate as one of the best ever to do it, without ever having won a championship belt. Now, this next fight is where things got a little bit too real for my liking. That said, let's talk about Jon Jones versus Daniel Cormier. Everyone remembers the insane fight these two broke out during one of their press conferences. Everything was going pretty smoothly until one of them decided that they wanted to get a taste of the action before their time in the octagon. And so, with just moments remaining in the original press conference, Cormier and Jones went at it. Now, when you're watching these two from a TV screen, they don't look that big. But when you see the two of them running at each other in real life, it's a different situation. Both of these men are absolute units. I mean, they're over 6 feet tall and jacked. Trust me, no matter how tough you think you are, you don't want someone like Jon Jones running at you, trying to bite your head off. Regardless, what ended up happening was that these two had to be interviewed in separate locations. Even then, you could feel the hatred resonating between them. When their fight finally happened, Cormier and Jones went at each other with ferocity, unlike anything we'd seen before. At the end of it all, Johnny Bones stood tall as the victor. Now, we've already taken a look at Chael Sonnen. How about we take a look at someone more recent? I'm talking about none other than Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor has cemented himself as a UFC legend. The man has proved to everyone that this sport is as much a mental game as it is physical. The best example of this was probably when he faced off against Jose Aldo. That was, in every sense of the word, a work of art. He managed to break Aldo down in every way possible. As soon as he decided to pick up the mic against McGregor, he knew he'd messed up. Conor attacked him, his family, and everything else imaginable. I don't think there's ever been a fighter who's been so mentally defeated in the history of the sport since that bout.
He doesn't want to be here. He's not going to be there December 12th like he was not there July 11th. So I'll tell everyone up here, 145 right through to 170, prepare for this fight.
After suffering through this whole ordeal, when Jose finally stepped into the octagon with McGregor, there wasn't anything he could do to stop his impending doom. McGregor set a record by knocking him out in 13 seconds. He made a key mistake by letting his emotions get the better of him.
Green trunks for the southpaw, the notorious Conor McGregor.
Black trunks for the champion, Jose Aldo Jr. Connor relaxed and smiling. Oh! Deflected!
The result? Well, we were all there to see it. The next bout is another example of McGregor's trash-talking skills. However, this time, things backfired big time. So here comes Nurmagomedov versus McGregor. This fight was probably the biggest thing to happen to the UFC in forever. The heights that this fight reached were through the roof. People from all over the world were excited to see what would happen when these two finally came face to face in the octagon. The press conferences leading up to the whole thing were pretty brutal to say the least. I mean, Conor would fire shots off at Khabib every time he saw him. There was the trolley incident where Conor and his goons attacked the bus that Khabib and his teammates were on.
Dude, we're gonna kill this guy.
Ray, come to the bank. You need to be in there.
Dude, what the We're gonna kill these guys 100%.
It's safe to say that this fight had gone far beyond what everybody had expected. I mean, we all knew that there would be a certain level of hate between the two men, but no one thought that it would come to this. Regardless, after everything had happened, Conor ended up submitting to Khabib, thus ending the rivalry after a few grueling months. Now, after watching all of this, y'all probably have a very important question on your mind, which is whether taking a fight to this level is good for the business or bad. While the fights themselves are entertaining, you have to admit that ever since fighters kicked up their press conference game a notch, the sport has gotten a lot more exciting. In other words, it kind of feels like we're watching a non-scripted version of the WWE. But you have to wonder whether this is the path to follow or not. I mean, sure, it's fun for us to watch as emotions get heightened and fights get even more heated. Is it worth the trouble, though? If you take a look at fighters like Jose Aldo, it messes them up for life. The dude was never the same after he lost to Conor, and with him, we lost a legend of the sport. When you take things like that into account, you have to ask yourself whether all of this is truly worth it. Of course, when you take a look at things from the other side of the spectrum, you quickly understand that stuff like this helps generate a bigger audience. I mean, it's one thing to see rival fighters go at it, and another to watch two people who hate each other fight. Incidents like when Conor attacked Khabib's tour bus might seem pointless, but in reality, they're a big reason why fights these days get as much hype as they do. Besides, it feels like this is slowly becoming the norm. Low blows and cheap shots are what make the most money, so I don't think fighters will be stopping anytime soon. And that's everything on UFC Fights That Got Personal.